Hey everybody, good morning, it's Rob Moffett. Guys, this morning we're going to be talking about weird micro investments. Going to be new for my channel. We're going to be talking about this morning three different things. We're going to be talking about forever stamps, folding bicycles, and FLOWBEES. Forever stamps are kind of interesting to me. Since they were started in 2007, they were 41 cents. Now they're 55 cents. That's only like 34% increase in that 14 years. So this is a very poor investment. You'd only get 34% increase. And if you were to sell these, you can't sell them back to the post office. You have to sell them to a wholesaler. Well, they're going to knock 30% off the top. So in 14 years, you'd make 4% off your income or your investments. That's a terrible, terrible investment. But on the other hand, it could satisfy needs of certain people for certain requirements that no other investment I can think of does. Let's talk about this. Look at the pros and cons. I'm not saying you should invest a lot of money. I'm saying diversification is king. We don't know what's going to happen nowadays with this crazy world, with everything going on. They're printing trillions and trillions of dollars. We have zero interest, negative interest rates and banks, which hasn't happened in the history of recording financial transactions going back thousands of years. There's crazy things going on. We don't know what's going to happen. So it's good to diversify. So would you want to diversify? Putting a tiny bit of money in forever stamps. Let's look at what could happen. The pros and cons. The number one main thing about forever stamps is they will keep up by law with the rate of inflation. They won't ever go higher than the rate of inflation, but as the inflation goes up, they'll keep up pace with it. Now, you could say, well, why would you ever invest any money at all in forever stamps? Something as stupid as that when you could put your money in equities. Right now, there's trillions and trillions of dollars that weren't earned the hard old-fashioned way. They were made by shuffling paper and backdoor dealing and casino stock market. And that money is looking for some places to go and hide and make more money. And they're poor and they're funneling into equities and other things. And equities, like a lot of other things, are going up. And so you say to yourself, why wouldn't you put your money in equities? And a lot of people are. And other things we'll go over in a minute. And it's stupid to put your money in these stamps. But I just showed you in 14 years, they only went up 34%. But they went up. They're guaranteed to not go down. They're guaranteed by the government, and they keep rate with the rate of inflation. So tell me what equities you could buy that you know for sure 14 years from now you'll get your money back. I can't think of hardly any. So there are dangers. I'm investing in equities. I've got money in equities, but the stamps do serve a purpose. Precious metals is another one. I love precious metals. I'll take all the ones you give me. But there's things that could happen with gold. They could outlaw it. And all of us know they've been messing with the price of precious metals for the last 20 years or more. It's not accurate. You don't know what's going to happen because we don't control it. And they can do things with it. It's just, I don't know if you're always going to get a reasonable return. There's no dividends with precious metals, just like the stamps, but things can happen with precious metals that it could go to the moon, but you don't always know what's going to happen. Crypto is the same thing. If you think the blockchain technology is wonderful and it's fascinating, it's revolutionary, but a lot of people think they're going to change the world because they're going to get rid of the intermediaries in the banking system. And so the reason the intermediaries make so much money isn't because of the work they do, it's because they are really good at making sure you do not get rid of them. They buy off people in the government, and they're like a tick on a blue hound dog. You're not getting rid of them. They're there for life. If you think crypto is going to be a way to get rid of the middlemen, they'll just change the game and the rules, and they'll be back again. So you're not going to get rid of them. Not with crypto. So right now people are flooding to Dogecoin, which was a joke cryptocurrency. They're flooding into it. I think people are cruising for a bruising. Real estate. There's not really too many micro investments in real estates, but actually there are. I'll be doing a video on some really low price real estate that is a possibility for people investing in. But collectibles, I just have two words for you: beanie babies. Beanie babies. I think the biggest amount of hurt in the future is going to come from collectibles, because people are changing. You look at people collecting wristwatches. They're collecting wristwatches, and the money is being poured into wristwatches, and the prices are going through the roof. But you look at a 12-year-old, when's the last time you saw a kid with a watch, or a teenager with a watch, or somebody in their 20s? Everybody uses their phone to see what time it is. It's like after the 1950s, people stopped wearing hats. Nobody collects hats. Hat business went out of business. So I think so many collectibles, as people age and die and people change, they're no longer going to be a collectible. I can't think of too many collectibles that I would want to put my money in. Even cars nowadays, kids, they take Uber. Farmland, that's another one. There's not too many small farmland micro investments you can make, but there are things you can do as far as producing your own food. We'll talk about in another video. That would be something to talk about. People say, well, you know what, you're not going to need stamps. People will stop mailing letters due to technology. Well, yeah, but the people who don't want the governments to read what they're writing may start using mail more, because you can have an algorithm or artificial intelligence that will look through mail online, and they'll be able to go in a minute through 10 million mail that was sent. They're not going to be able to open up 10 million letters. So I don't see, unless the government outlaws it, I don't see mailing letters go out of style. I think we may see an increase of people using mail just to be able to send information to each other without having the government and the corporations look into it. You could have the government fold. That's definitely a possibility. Then the stamps wouldn't be worth anything, because no longer would you have a guarantee from the government. You automatically lose 30% on a sale. If you buy it today, tomorrow you were to sell it, you'd lose 30%. And it's going to take you years to get back your percentage. And that's true. That's a big negative, very big negative. That's what I'm talking this as a micro investment, a micro tiny investment. Just as a tiny bit of money set aside that you're always going to know it's going to be there. If you were to buy a large amount of this, when you try to sell it, the liquidity isn't there, so it's not a large volume of people buying the stamps, so you couldn't offload tons of these stamps. But there again, we're not talking about buying tons of these stamps. We're talking about buying small amounts. Transportable. I think that's a favorable asset of these. You can transport them fairly easy. Let's say you're going through the airport with $20,000 in cash. They find it, they're going to put you in a small room with a bunch of ugly looking people and interview you for a couple of days and ask you where you got that money, and maybe you hold on to your money for a couple of years, and you got to get a lawyer to get it back, because they'll say it's drug money, and you got to go account for every single dollar where that money came from. If you go through the airport with a bunch of stamps, I'm not sure anybody's even going to pay attention. It's just, I mean, they might feel sorry for you, like, look at that dumbass, he's got all those stamps. The last, like I said in the beginning, it's backed by the U.S. government. You do have the possibility of getting your money back. Now, you could say, well, I had the same thing with government bonds, and that's true. Same guarantees, and you get some sort of interest from them. But it just, this was another form of diversification I thought we would talk about that I haven't seen anybody else mention. Now, there are all different types of forever stamps you can get. I was on the USPS this morning, and they have some that's printed by the government in the form of Hot Wheels, which is a collectible by itself. So if you were to buy 100 sheets at $11, that'd be $1,100. And you could set them aside, and you know that this is going to keep pace with inflation. unlike almost anything else you could put your money in. Like you can put your, like in tips, the inflation nominated investment equities from the government, the bonds, and a couple of things that keep matched with inflation. But this is one that also keeps matched with inflation that I hadn't heard anybody else talk about. It is a possibility it could raise in price because it's related to a collectible. And you can also get a higher price if you were to sell these on your own instead of selling them through a wholesaler. So you wouldn't lose 30% off the top. You get most of your money back right away, but you'd have to sell them in lots smaller quantities one at a time on eBay or something. So I thought that was a weird micro investment. I hadn't heard anybody talk about that meets certain criteria that is important for some people, like being able to transport and not losing all your money because it's guaranteed by the government. You wouldn't want to put a lot of money in forever stamps. Maybe you wouldn't want to put any, but I could see a person putting a very small amount in them and maybe taking a gamble on something like this, and knowing that when they went to bed at night that it was always going to be worth a certain amount. It'd never be worth less unless something really bad happened, unlike almost any other investment. It's something that also, it's you can go to the post office and use cash to buy it. It's fairly untraceable. So it's got certain assets, or it just has certain benefits that other investments don't. The second investment this morning I want to talk about is our old friend FLOWBEE. I purchased my FLOWBEE 14 years ago. I estimate that it saved me $4,000 in 14 years. It cost me like $69 new. It's at a state now where it's really dull and I have to sharpen it. I just found out there's a company that manufactures a little kit that helps you sharpen the blades on the FLOWBEE. Before, that was almost impossible to sharpen. So I'm hoping to get more years out of my FLOWBEE, but when I added up my average price of getting a haircut every month, and then the amount of time it takes to drive to the barber, and then to sit there and wait for the barber, I figure even if I'm just getting paid like 10 bucks an hour, and then the amount of money I'm giving the barber, like 15 bucks, more now, it's probably close to 20. In the last 14 years, I've saved $4,000. And it was something that only cost me $69. Now they're going for $248. You can buy other hair cutting systems like the RoboCut and some other ones that are much less price. These have gone through the roof because pandemic, and some people were talking about George Clooney cutting his own hair. So they've gone up in price. You can buy used ones. I'll be doing a video on how well I'm able to sharpen mine. If you're able to sharpen the blade, then these can last a lot longer than anybody thinks. So that's a very good micro investment a person could make. They could cut their own hair, save a lot of time, save a lot of money, and over the years save thousands of dollars actually. The last investment we want to talk about this morning, it's not so much saving money as it is increasing your security or sense of freedom. It's getting a bicycle, and more specifically getting a folding bicycle. This last pandemic has made a lot of people realize how important it is to have other forms of transportation. A lot of people use public transportation and they realized they couldn't do it anymore, so they went to bikes, and they found out it was difficult to get bikes. If we get another gas shortage, more people are going to find out it's difficult to use their cars. And we haven't had a gas shortage in a long time, so I think we're due in the next few years. So a lot of people lean toward getting bicycles. I recommend you don't just get a bicycle, you get a folding bicycle, because it has a lot of advantages and the cost is the same. You can put a folding bike in your car and go someplace that's really crowded, and then you can park a mile away, park your car, no parking fees, get on your bicycle and ride to the event and save not only money but time. So that would be my third micro investment for today, would be invest in a folding bicycle. You can get them used on Craigslist and the marketplace at Facebook that are quite inexpensive. So guys, hope this was something different for you, interesting. I'm going to be doing more of these videos on micro investments. Like I said, it's not necessarily just for money. It's for quality of life or increasing security or freedom in your life. And they're little things that a lot of people don't think about or talk about. Sort of out of the box, kind of weird investments, micro investments. I'll be doing more on different things in the very near future. Hope this was something you liked. You enjoy, come back, put new stuff on every week. Been doing it for 14 years, as long as I've had my FLOWBEE, and put videos on new every week, and got a bunch of playlists, different topics, a bunch of cool people I feature on my channel, not really me, David Knight anyway, down here at the bottom. And like I said, I talk about all sorts of things. Got prepping, outdoors, gardening, cooking, videography, self-sufficiency, metal detecting, fishing, sailing, Florida history, home business, life extension, shooting, self-improvement, writing, comedy, inventing, and a lot of reviews. So guys, that's enough talk. You go out and invest. Take care. See you out there.